they warn you in advance of if things were brought up and you're feeling distressed, then to actually give mindfulness a break and actually not do it. I was hearing voices, and later on I was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. Some people think paranoid schizophrenia, it could be a split personality situation, which isn't. There's a misconception. I was in a coma, and then when I woke up, I was still hearing my voices, and the voices were pretty loud, and I still hear them to this day, but they have got quieter, and that's because
So hi Amy, thank you so much for being here today. We first met in the community center in the mindfulness course, and then you told me about the 8 weeks course online, which I joined. It was great. I loved your approach, which was very gentle, very kind, and I loved the way you asked questions to the group. It was very touching. So yeah, thank you again for that. Knowing you a little, I would love to understand a bit more what drew you to teach mindfulness today, and what's the context behind that?
wow, I went through a really dark time in my life through my 20s, and in an abusive relationship. I was basically with the wrong people. And then I found myself addicted to drugs. And then towards the end of the relationship, I was having trouble getting myself out of that situation, where I would be doing a lot of cocaine, and then that led to me doing crack cocaine as well. And at that point in my life, I really hated myself. I was pretty much in a self-destructive stage of my life, and I didn't want to live. I was really ashamed, disgusted with how I was and being that way. I knew I needed help, and that pushed me to go and see the GP. But at that point, for me, I was hearing voices. And later on, I was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and these voices were quite nasty, and they would tell me to kill myself, that I'm always high. They would speak in my own language, in Cantonese. I think a lot of people don't know what schizophrenia can be. Mine was like mostly auditory, so I'd be hearing the voices. Some people think paranoid schizophrenia, it could be a split personality situation, which isn't. There's a misconception, and I feel like this is why people need to be educated and not all stereotype schizophrenia to be a certain way. Coming back to my story, it pushed me to the edge, and I took my own life. And then I was in a coma for a couple of weeks, and then also sectioned in the Highgate Mental Health Hospital for a very short time. And then when I woke up, I was still hearing my voices, and the voices were pretty loud. Like sound like I would be in a club or a really loud pub. That's how loud my voices was. And I still hear them to this day, but they have got quieter. And that's because I started practicing meditation. By the time I was having my treatment, like I was seeing a psychotherapist, I was going to see a psychiatrist, or in one day in a mental health clinic in Islington. And I came across this leaflet that says Reiki. Reiki is like energy healing. And at the time I didn't know what it was. After waking up from the coma, I just felt like I'd been given another chance to live again. That kind of inspired me to be better, or want to be better. That gave me the will and the strength to say, hey, I want to have a better life. When I saw that leaflet during that therapy day, I just went for it. I don't know what pushed me, and just went, you know what, you don't even know what it is. I just picked up the leaflet, called the number that was on the leaflet, and David, his name was David, the Reiki practitioner, taught me how to meditate. While he gives me the Reiki healing, He would teach me to focus on my breath, noticing how I was feeling in my body. And at the time, I didn't know nothing about mindfulness, but that was it was like the starting point of it all. I would use meditation every day, how he taught me, just focusing on following the breath. After that, I was noticing how my mind was calmer, my body was calmer, even though I was still distracted by my voices. And then over time, I'm talking about over time, like over a year, my voices started to become quieter because of it. It's not a miracle that it's cured my schizophrenia, because I still have it. It's just I learned to manage it. I learned to accept it. And that's how meditation came into my life and helped me in that way.
So it was very grounding for you.
Absolutely.
You wanted to then transmit your knowledge and how peaceful it was for you. So then you wanted to teach others. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a skill that can be shared to everybody. Bring peace to yourself and others, and it just spreading mindfulness is like spreading peace.
Were there like some thoughts or things that you wanted to decondition yourself from, that you noticed, well, actually I was conditioned to think like this or to react like this with others, but I actually want to do things differently now?
I feel like before I definitely didn't think about myself, not enough anyway. And it was learning about meditation and having that Reiki healing helped me center and focus more on myself, because I felt more grounded. I had more time actually to think about what I want to be, who I want to be. That second chance in life gave me that more perspective. How can I look after myself now? In what way? So I gave up drugs, don't really drink alcohol anymore. There were so many things that I want to change, like my diet. I was thinking about what I want to eat. Eat better food. I'm not saying I'm the saint, I still like my cakes and chocolates. And also with people, my learning about my own boundaries. Because I was listening to myself more, I was learning to say no to a lot of people. When that happens, I definitely felt that sense of, wow, the moment I start saying no, you can really tell who are really your friends and how they react. And with mindfulness, it really helps noticing where your boundary is.
I'd like to explore some studies showing that mindfulness isn't necessarily for everybody at any time of their life, especially when trauma is involved. In The Body Keeps the Score, Bessel van der Kolk, when he talks about mindfulness calming the fight or flight system, but also warns that if you can't tolerate what you're feeling right now, opening up the past will only compound the misery and re-traumatize you further. And if the skills of emotional regulation aren't there, then it can be very complicated. So I wanted to ask you, if someone tries mindfulness and they feel worse after it, what would you want them to know? And are there safer entry points?
I remember when I started training mindfulness with the Mindfulness Association, my teacher training, they warn you in advance of if things were brought up and you're feeling distressed, then to actually give mindfulness a break and actually not do it until you're ready to do it. And I've been through a lot of trauma myself in that time period where I was where there was abuse in the relationship and there was drug addictions. there were times that thinking, if mindfulness is going to work or meditation was going to work for me, I didn't think about whether it's going to work or not for me. I did it because there was this intention that I wanted to be better. Not saying that it would delete my past, and the past it's not going to be deleted. The memories are always going to be there. And as the book says, the body does keep the score, and those memory does come up in the body. I definitely sense that myself. And when it gets too much, I do stop. But what I found I was doing was that I allow myself to feel those emotions. And then instead of like focusing on the meditation, I was more focused on the emotions. And I think with mindfulness practice, and you experienced it yourself, that when these emotions comes up, you don't try and push them away. You start accepting what they are, and that's what mindfulness is about. You develop this acceptance, whether it's emotions or an experience that's happening there and here and now. I think with that, what you call the entry point would be to be able to sit with it and just allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to feel that anger, whatever your emotion that came up, and not to push it away. You can stop the meditation and not stop from how you're feeling. I think that's where you probably might have read some studies about it, and especially with the body keeps the score. It's like the more you suppress what you're feeling, the more your body is going to keep that score. So I think it's safe to say, like, there's nothing wrong with just stopping that meditation, nothing wrong with feeling what you're feeling at that moment. So if you're at that state where you're feeling so much grief from a loss of a loved one, or then just sit with that. That's still kind of accepting and acknowledging how you feel. Mm-hmm. I think that acknowledgement is a big step also, that I am feeling this way. I don't want to meditate today. Mm-hmm. I feel like shit. I feel upset. I'm not going to meditate, and it's fine.
Mm. So talking about moments in life, do you think that there is a moment in life where we feel more ready to meditate than another?
I don't think I was even think about whether I was ready or not at the time. Mm. I guess I was, because I was very open. So like when I saw that leaflet with Reiki on it, I didn't know that mindfulness comes with it or meditation came with it. So it's just being open. I guess at that point I was ready. Even though I heard about meditation before, like in movies or something like that, it never came across to me like I would do it. So I guess synchronicity or that time of my life where that second chance is kind of like, you're going to do this. And then it just happened. And at that point, I was ready. I was open. I was ready to practice it, not even knowing or expecting anything from it. It was just that pure intention of, I just want to be better. I want to get well. And that was it.
Some people say that mindfulness is a muscle, and that the more you practice it, the better you are at it. I don't know if we can be good at mindfulness, but because there's no judgment really. Like, it's how you relate to it and how you feel as well. In general, does it take, I don't know, is there a period in which you strengthen that muscle?
Absolutely. I don't know, everybody learns faster or slower, and again, practicing mindfulness, as you said, there's no judgment there. How this strong muscle will grow or strengthen. Yes, it does take practice. And I reiterate, it's not a miracle cure. And there were days where I don't want to practice. But at the beginning, I think it's good to stay strong and have that discipline that you, and the intention that you know the benefits of mindfulness already. So to strengthen it, yes, just like you want to be running, I don't know, practicing for the marathon, you need to train. Mindfulness is the same. You need to train to be better at it. Because I had that discipline back then with my recovery time, gently, and I wouldn't say pushing myself, I just felt like, hey, this is doing something. And because I felt there was some results from meditation at the time, I wanted to do more. That gave me the incentive, the intention to practice more. I did it over a year, almost every day, whether it's short or long. And that benefited me a lot.
So it's almost meditating for the sake of it. I heard that a lot of people meditate when they feel like things are not great. And this question can sound a bit strange, but how do you keep the discipline of meditating even when things feel great?
I don't think it needs to have things to be great or not, even like when things are bad or when things are good. It's like it's ingrained afterward the more you practice. I feel like it's a life skill that will be always there. As a being in a present moment, you're experiencing everything from good and bad. So even if you feel good, yes, why not meditate? What's stopping you? Who's going to tell you not to? Right? You do it because you want to. Yeah. You do, like, you go for a walk because you want to, or you need some fresh air because you need it. You feel like you need it. You're already practicing mindfulness because you know you are doing it. Because you're noticing how you're breathing. You're noticing the smell of the air. You notice the feel of the air, the breeze against your skin.
Can I close my eyes?
It becomes just part of your life. That's the great thing about it.
As you said, it doesn't have to be very strict. When you wake up out of bed, you can drift into meditation. It doesn't have to be, as you said, seated, cross-legged.
When I was a beginner, I did sit cross-legged.
Oh, yeah.
And then, and that was the start of it all. But gradually you learn to understand yourself and incorporate mindfulness in everyday life. And that's the beauty of the course. It's like you do the 8 weeks course, or you do regular practice with a practitioner or a teacher. And then you suddenly, gradually, you know yourself a lot more, incorporating mindfulness in everyday life. And that's what we talk about in the 8 weeks course. How do you apply mindfulness practice in your daily lives? And then it becomes everything. You can do mindfulness everywhere, any places. And then you realize, actually, it doesn't have to be seated anymore. Like we're in this conversation now, and there's so much, even if we're not even quiet for 1 minute, with practice, we already notice and sensing from the lighting, from, the sounds, even listening to myself. Yeah. We realize and notice our own preferences, right? So that's all part of mindfulness.
Yeah, some say that one shouldn't stress too much about being in the present, because it's true, sometimes it can feel like an injunction, like be in the present moment. Am I in the present moment? And some say that you don't need to stress about being in the present moment because you only have that. You're already in the present moment. So therefore it's liberating in a sense.
Yeah, totally agree. Because the moment you noticed and you asked that question, then you are.
Yeah, exactly. I heard of the meditation loving kindness. And now, is there a general way to practicing it?
Yes, So the loving kindness, or the other name is the mettā meditation. It's from the different courses that I've seen, the 8-week courses, obviously the one most famous from Jon Kabat-Zinn. They include in that course Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction. That's part of their work. And then as all these 8 weeks courses start to pop up all over, as mindfulness started getting a bit more popular, they would still include that meditation of loving kindness. The one I've learned was mindfulness-based from a living course from the Mindfulness Association in the UK. And that they also include it in part of the course which you experience. It's more like well-wishing or saying a prayer to somebody. I feel like it's more also saying a prayer to yourself, the loving kindness. And if you don't remember the words, it's so easy, because if you want to wish somebody to be well, you'd say, like, may they be healthy, may they feel happy, may their lives be filled with abundance, or something in terms of that line. I think like that can be easily done, because it doesn't even have to be so many phrases. May you be well, may you be happy, and you can say that, may I be well, may I be happy, and that become your little mantra, your little loving kindness. And it doesn't have to be very long, it doesn't have to be hard.
Some people start this meditation from themselves in the beginning, but for some it's the most difficult is to practice it for yourself, for oneself. And so they start by someone that they really love and they have a lot of positive feelings to, and then to acquaintances, and then to people that have perhaps harmed them in some way, and then ends up by directing all these compassionate feelings for themselves, because for some it's like the hardest one, and that it's good to do it gently, and if it's too difficult or if you can't, then it's okay. Like it's as you said, a process, and we're not obligated to go to the end if it doesn't feel right, and liberating.
I remember that time. I'm not sure were you in that course, and it was tough for a few people when we did the loving kindness meditation. And I remember it's very common for a lot of people to have that acceptance to be kind to themselves, and that could go deeper. I mean, we won't go there, because that's something, if they can explore, like with a health professional, a mental health professional, but they can explore it all with themselves. But that's a starting point, because of practicing it as a part of the mindfulness course, is that you notice how you're treating yourself from that. A lot of them found it really hard. I remember sitting through the inquiry afterward, and a lot of us said, I found it really difficult. I don't know if you were one of those classes where a few people has come up and said that was the hardest thing. I just couldn't say it to myself, or they couldn't find something that they've done kindness, or they've given kindness to someone else, or someone's given kindness back to them. So that kind of brought up a lot of emotions or reflection for them. How can you go deep with mindfulness with that?
Yeah.
We sat with it. Like, can you though next time do something kind to yourself?
Yeah.
I think we kind of carried on. Can you do something for yourself that's kind? If you haven't felt like you haven't done so for a very long time, then what can you do?
Yeah.
What can you change? That gives you that little, okay, you can do something about it. There's something I can change about myself.
Oh, it's very inspiring. Everything that you've been through, what you learned from it, and then what you are doing today. I think it's very important. And if people want to join the mindfulness course with you, or want to follow your work, where would you send them?
For Islington residents, then the Stress Project, they run the online mindfulness course. You need to register, you need to be a resident or working in Islington.
London.
And in London, and you can do that for free with them. And then other ones, you can email me. Email me and run a course for you. I could do that. In my old corporate job where I ran mindfulness sessions, I did that regularly, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon. I did that. But on the private side, outside, yeah, get in touch.
So I can put your email address in the show notes. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Amy. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.